Why the 350 when there's all these crazy 450s and 580s and 53, 63, all this stuff? Why this one? Because let's be honest, the person who does actually legitimately have the means to go out and purchase something like this is going to tool this thing around 10, maybe even 15 miles per hour under the speed limit. So for them, what exactly are they going to do with 6-cylinder engines, 8-cylinder engines? This thing can have 2 V8s in it, and it just would not make a difference to the typical buying market of something like this. So that's why I decided to go for the more pragmatic approach. Get the 350, the 2-liter 4-cylinder. Now I will say, jokes aside, the 450 is genuinely the one to get because I did drive that engine in the E-Class. So I'm going to leave a link down to that video in the description box. But believe it or not, this is actually very base. I mean, it doesn't even have the 4MATIC on here. It's a rear-wheel drive chassis, of course. It's a rear-wheel drive driven GLE, so that's pretty rare. But this is probably going to be the lightest weight vehicle that you can get. About the 450 is about 5,000 pounds. This is several hundred pounds less than that. And another thing, this thing is fitted with some nice little options, which I'll talk more about in the interior segment. But let's go ahead and let's get this out of the road. But before we do that, I want to talk about the looks of this car, of course, because this thing did get redesigned for the 2020 model year. Yeah, the looks of this thing, this has really captivated my heart. I love the way this thing looks. I understand that there's a lot of competition in this segment, but Mercedes-Benz, I feel like, has really done it again, especially with this redesign. Man, this thing is stunning to look at. I mean, I've always said this, you can absolutely park a Benz amongst vehicles like Rolls Royces and Bentleys, but you can't really do that with Audis and BMWs, basically. Those are fine vehicles, but I'll be honest, this one just takes the cake for me. I mean, for the typical wealthy person living in a suburban environment, you're basically going to have all of suburbia bowing down to you when you roll up in this thing. They just nailed it with the design of this thing. It just exudes money and luxury. But you let me know in the comment section, what do you think, and which SUV would you choose? X5, Q7 Audi, Q8 Audi maybe, even though it's a little bit out of the price tag. You let me know in the comment section below. But me personally, I love the redesign of this thing. It looks absolutely fantastic. But let's get on to more pressing matters like this review, shall we? So yes, like I mentioned in the beginning here, it is indeed the 4-cylinder model. Definitely not an appropriate engine choice for a vehicle of this size and stature. However, it is what it is. I mean, the thing produced about 255 horsepower, 273 pounds-feet of torque. Another thing to keep in mind, this car obviously comes with a lot of crazy features. The 350, it's not even optional. Like you probably saw like the crazy bounce control, like the big pimp mode, basically, like low rider mode, all that stuff, basically to get you out of a desert situation in case you bog down, because yeah, you're gonna bog down at the Starbucks parking lot, right? So, screw all that. But I am happy that I checked this out, actually. I wanted to check out this engine in the E-Class as well, because I know that these are the engines that most people are going to opt for, because it's just the cheapest way to get it. These things start at about $53,000. This one's optioned up to about $63,000. And if you want the 450 model, it's about a $5,000 to $6,000 premium. Power and thrust is not an issue with this vehicle, so I'm glad I got to check that out, okay? Even though this is not the ideal engine choice for a vehicle like this, that silky smooth inline-six power plant, that is such a gem that Mercedes has developed for these newer Benz products. That is definitely the model that I recommend, but this is getting the job done. So know that, and know that I don't really have an issue with it, and I'm about to take this out of the highway here in a little bit. But the rest of the core architecture is great. But yeah, I was kind of mentioning the suspension and all that stuff here. I mean, here's the thing with the suspension. You can't get the e-active body control or anything like that. So that's a no-go with the 350 models. So it doesn't have like the active curve assist and like the air suspension. None of that stuff is even available on this model. So there is a little bit of body roll with this car, actually a lot, when you really like kind of throw it and kind of fling it into a corner. But apparently the e-active body control, which is run by a 48 volt system, basically electronic system, is it pretty much eliminates body roll in these vehicles. So that is pretty crazy to think about. Okay, so I'm merging onto the highway here. Okay. doing a good speed in this vehicle, and yeah, honestly, not a whole lot of noise in this vehicle, basically just a little bit of wind buffeting due to being a very windy day. However, this is a very quiet cabin space. And what's crazy is this particular model is optioned with the 21-inch wheels, the AMG package, all that nonsense. So what you basically get fitted with here is actually a really huge tire setup in this thing, like 275 or 285 wide tires, I forgot exactly what it is, up in the front, and 315s in the back. Absolutely monstrosities of a wheel setup. It's not really that necessary. It's producing a slight bit more noise than it probably should, but it's very quiet in here, dude, for the most part. I definitely don't have an issue with it, especially for the wheels and tires being this large and this wide, so not an issue there. But yeah, even though you don't have the crazy pneumatic suspension controls and all that, you have a great suspension geometry with these vehicles. You know, it is in fact a double wishbone suspension setup in the front and a multi-link in the rear, so that's great to see. One thing to note, if you do get the V8 models, you're going to get the air suspension as standard. So if you get the GLE 580, yeah, even with these insane wheels on this car, okay, or this SUV I should say, this thing is still riding amazingly well, because it is a Mercedes-Benz, of course, and they do prioritize an amazing ride quality amongst everything else. So I'm very happy to report that even without the crazy suspension and all that stuff, this thing is still riding beautifully. So that is great. I'm very happy about that. Steering, it's silky smooth, of course. They always get the electric power steering rack, perfect weight. I like the size of the steering wheel as well. It's a very easy vehicle to pilot around. It's actually not that huge. It's only about 194 inches long, but there's a lot of space in this vehicle, which I'm going to report in the interior segment. But yeah, the size of this thing is good. Very practical to kind of fit out on the road here. Very good for, again, those suburban roads, that suburban lifestyle, if you will. So kind of chuck this into the corner here. It's got really good turning in there, basically. Really tight. I like that. This thing is also fitted with the 9-speed automatic, which I did try out in the E-Class, and it's a pretty good transmission for the most part. It's pretty smooth, but occasionally I did feel it kind of lagging behind a little bit, but it's nothing ridiculous. It's still like 99% of the time very smooth, so I do appreciate this 9-speed. I was worried at first that it might be too many gears. It is too many gears, but at least it performs extremely well, and that's really all that matters. But yeah, placing this thing out of the road, you know, you feel like a boss. You feel like you own the planet, basically. It's a great sensation and feeling, and this 4-cylinder, I am quite pleased to report that it's a good little 4-cylinder. It's getting the job done, even though it's a massive vehicle. I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that this is the rear-wheel drive model, so it's a little bit less parasitic loss, a little bit less weight to lug around. So I guess maybe that's why this 4-cylinder is doing a pretty good job. So it's something to keep in mind. If you're going for a more basic GLE, you just like the body style of this thing, then yeah, you're getting a great vehicle here with the 4-cylinder, so that's very good. This is a huge vehicle, so if you plan to get this 4-cylinder in something like an E-Class, you're set, basically. It should be a good engine choice, but again, it just doesn't fit the absolute characteristic of these Benz products. That's the only thing, because this thing does 0 to 60 about 7 seconds. The 450 does in about 5.5 seconds, so significant amount of time off there. Obviously, when you get the 6 cylinders and the 8 cylinders, they do have this EQ boost for at least the non-AMG models. I think the 53 gets that, but not the 63. So something else to keep in mind. This is also the more like basic car, so it's pretty much the most simpler drivetrain options, if you will. Not too much complexity going on. I mean, no, I don't really recommend buying these cars and keeping them for the long term, because you won't really want to do that with these cars, because they change it so much. They're always the cutting edge of everything, that if you own a 3 or 4 year old Benz, I mean, it's just like you're better off leasing them, because you'd rather get the latest and greatest that Benz has to offer, basically. So that's what I recommend you doing with something like the GLE. But yeah, just know you're going to get a very rewarding traditional luxury vehicle experience with these Mercedes-Benz products that are not AMGs. And no, I don't feel like you need to move up to an AMG. This 4-cylinder is doing a great job as it is, but I'm just saying though, I like how Mercedes is not compromising ride or refinement, things like that, unlike some of the other companies that, you know, inject all this performance into their vehicles when it's just simply not necessary. You know, this isn't like, you know, a 911 in terms of handling or anything like that, but it really doesn't need to be. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather have the refinement in something like this, but it's really cool that they're implementing technology like their e-active body controls to reduce the body rolls and stuff in a large SUV like this, because large SUVs like this, man, I mean, it's great to have that sense of confidence basically with these vehicles. I'm really glad to see that technology, because, you know, that basically trickled down from the S-Class, you know what I'm saying? It even reads the road ahead when you do have those packages, and it'll basically try to eliminate the bumps in the road, basically, like the air suspension, all that stuff will try to compensate for that. So that's really crazy. And I believe that technology only used to exist in something like the S65 AMG, like the AMG V12 Mercedes S-Class. So it's crazy that you can now get this in like a $60,000 to $70,000 SUV. And, you know, going over these bumps again, of course, I mean, you hardly even feel it. So this is just such an amazing ride quality baked into this vehicle. A lot of it has to do with the amazing suspension geometry that these vehicles have. So that's really great. And honestly, I personally like the heavy curb weight associated with these cars, but it gives it a much more substantial, solid feel out on the road. So that's another thing I like to see. And yeah, with that, let's go ahead. I think we get the point with the driving dynamics. It's about exactly what I had expected with a vehicle like this. So let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior now, shall we? Okay, so now that we are parked, let's go ahead and let's talk about this interior. So actually, a lot of it is similar to that E-Class I did review, so please do check out that video, because you get the same kind of 12.3-inch screens here. So that's a new thing for these Mercedes-Benz products. The screens look stunning, and this is a huge reason why you buy a Benz product. It's got the latest and greatest tech. Even standard, you get a ton of safety features. Please do read up on that, like blind spot monitoring is standard, all that good stuff. But this one has the drive assist package, basically, like it's got even more safety features on it, basically. So it's nuts how many things is built into these vehicles. The thing pretty much damn near drives itself, essentially. If you wanted it to, you just got to keep your hands on the wheel, essentially. But yeah, I mean, if you suck at driving, I've said this before, get yourself a Benz, because it is impossible to crash these vehicles. Let me tell you that much. You know, you got cameras galore with these things, 360 cameras, backup cameras, all these different angles, and every single nuance of this thing. You can probably see Neptune from the screen, honestly. I mean, it's ridiculous what they baked into these vehicles, but yeah, it's all there, and this is why you buy it. It impresses your friends. It impresses you because you jump into this cabin space. It exudes money in here. You know, the same way the exterior does. And when you climb inside, you're still impressed with this thing. So it's something that actually both Lexus and Mercedes do a great job at captivating you with their interior designs, probably better than the other competitors do. So these are not plain Jane. There's actual art to the design and implementation of all the materials, the interior as a whole. So I really love that. And this particular model, you know, just pay $1,300. You can get an upgraded Burmester sound system, which sounds stunning. It's actually standard on the E-Class. I wish they would have made it standard on the GLEs as well. But yeah, this is a great option. Glad that it's only $1,300. Well worth the premium because it sounds stunning in here. So love that. Heated and cooled seats. Nice memory seat controls. I like the seat controls as a whole. You got plenty of adjustability for the seats, and you know, you can be huge in here. I'm 5'11" only, and I can fit, of course, but yeah, you can be over 6 feet tall, fit in here. So much adjustability in the seats. One touch up and down windows. However, I will say these are not double pane glass, but they're very thick pieces of glass. I know Mercedes is not stupid. I know this is probably some type of acoustic glass, probably, because it is a relatively quiet cabin in here, but it's nothing traditional. It doesn't have like the indent in the glass to make it a double pane glass like you traditionally know and find. So there's that, but it's a very quiet car, so I don't really care. This one, of course, has the white kind of interior, of course, with the kind of brown wood here. It's a matte brown, so I do like that, but the seat quality is fantastic. It's a little bit more of a harder seat than the E-Class, actually. Same goes for the back seats as well, but I do know that these are going to last really well. These are going to age really well, and it kind of needs to be broken in, if you will, but like these are kind of comfortable though, but more so in a firm way, kind of like how a firm mattress can be comfortable. That's kind of what these seats are kind of like, so that's the best way I can describe them, but they look great, and I know they're going to last. Good leather quality on them. And yeah, I mean, let's go back to those screens there, because it's a huge part. Of course, you get the Android Auto, Apple CarPlay if you want. There's many different ways of using this. You can say, hey, Mercedes,
how can I help?
Turn on the air conditioning.
Okay, I'm activating the air conditioning.
You know, you can do stuff like that with this vehicle if you wanted to. So you got the voice control, and it's very much like Siri. It's very easy to use like that. And there's a lot of things associated with this car. They actually tried their best to make it as simple as possible, but there's just so many things. Like when you just look at the first menu here, it looks kind of simple and easy to access. You kind of access this through this little touchpad thing here, which is fine. But you can also kind of use the thing on the steering wheel as well. It's kind of like this touch haptic thing on the steering wheel. So you can use both those controls as well as the voice command. But once you kind of click into it and kind of look into some of these menus, there's just so much more about the car. It's just an endless stream of stuff with this vehicle, man. So it's just like, that takes a little bit of a learning curve, but it's just like, play with it, man. Have fun with it. You paid up for a vehicle like this. You deserve to have all the toys, the gadgets. That's why you buy these cars, man. That's why you buy a Benz over any other vehicle, to have the toys, the ambient lighting, which the ambient lighting does look nuts in these cars. They do, I think, the best job. BMW does a great job too. But yeah, this is really well implemented. Like when you have the heat on in these vehicles, like the thing kind of glows red, but you can kind of customize it however you want. There's all sorts of seat functions, man. It's an endless, you need like an encyclopedia basically to kind of go through this stuff. It's nuts, but yeah, it's all there for you, man. Play with it, get to know the car, have fun with it. It looks stunning. It's one of the best looking screens in the business for sure. It is like two big kind of tablets stuck together, but it's just like they made it look cool and clean. So I definitely don't mind it. I think most people are going to like it who are shopping for a vehicle in this class. But if you're a bit elderly, I mean, hey man, have fun. I mean, there's a lot to learn here, so there's that, and it's very customizable too. Okay, but the rest of the interior, great design language. I always like to see the vent design, of course. They make that into an artwork with these Mercedes-Benz products, so that's pretty cool. A lot of storage space, wireless charging, of course, and that's a good place to store your phone as well. You got USB-C inputs. You got these cup holders, which are kind of nicely designed, kind of push these things in and out, and I'm saying play with that. Nice little place to kind of put your wrist. You got two little grab handles here because you're going to be going off-roading, of course, right? Isn't that what you're going to be doing with this, or are you going to just take this to Starbucks and back? Probably just Starbucks. Anyway, good amount of space in the armrest, more USB-C controls, connectivity, I guess you could say, and a good amount of space in the glove box as well. So very practical. You have a sunroof in here, but you can get a panoramic sunroof, and it's got 50% more viewing area than the previous generation panoramic sunroofs in the previous GLE. So it's something to note, but this one does come with a regular sunroof. So if you like that, well, there you go. Talk about the rear seats. Plenty of space back there. They definitely enlarged the wheelbase for this generation, and it shows a lot of space. Way more than what you get with a Range Rover. I don't know what Range Rover is doing, but basically they make like these massive cars, yet it's got like literally compact car levels of rear seating space. I have no idea how they managed to pull that off, but whatever though. This one is the complete opposite. You got great legroom, great headroom. That's not an issue. It's relatively easy to get in and out of this thing, so that's very good. But there's no like crazy technology back there. It's not like a flagship car or anything like that, but you do get HVAC back there as well, and you do get USB-C connectivity back there as well. So there you go. And you have an amazing amount of trunk space, of course, and you can fold down the seats. So much practicality with these cars. You can fit everything you need. You can get an optional third row back there if you wanted to, but I wouldn't bother with it because even Mercedes says that's like for very small children. It's not the most practical. It's not really necessary, really. This is how you want it. A lot of space for 5 adults and a lot of space for their things, and you even have a spare tire back there as well. So that's rare for a German car, and this was a great experience. It's the experience that I actually expected out of a vehicle like this. Quiet, comfortable, all that crap, and easy to drive, extremely smooth, and I was pleased by this 4-cylinder. For once, this is a good 4-cylinder. I think Audi still has like this absolute smoothest 4-cylinder, but this is still pretty good. No EQ assist or any of that stuff, no extra complexity, but again, it doesn't really matter if you're going to lease it. The GLE 450, I'm sure, is going to be very effortless, very quick out on the road, and a lot of fun to drive, so that's probably going to be where my money's at. I'll pay the extra $5,000 to $6,000 to get that engine. And yeah, but if you're penny pinching, which I don't know why you would be in a class of vehicle like this, then you can be rest assured that you're getting a pretty good vehicle with the 350. So that's good. Vehicles like that, this isn't about that. The most important thing is the mega amounts of prestige associated with it, and all the immense amounts of technology and the wow factor of the interior. That's what it is. You're going to impress everybody. You're going to impress your friends, your neighbors, all that stuff. That's why you buy this thing. It's very imposing, has a great appearance out on the road too. So enjoy it for those reasons, and please do let me know your thoughts about this vehicle in the comment section below. I'm going to leave all of Mercedes-Benz of Cary's information down in the description box as well. Please do contact Alex. And with that, I'll see you on the next video. It'll be posted on the end screen here. So I'll see you there.